Welcome to NinjaCast, a photography podcast powered by Studio Ninja, the world's highest rated business management app, built specifically for photographers. Listen and learn as the most successful photographers on the planet share their knowledge to help you transform every element of your photography business. Here's your host, Sally Shaw.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of NinjaCast. Today we're joined by the awesome James Jebson. We're going to be covering all sorts today, from developing your own personal brand right through to finding your why. Let's get started. Hi James, how are you?
Hello, how are you doing? You okay? I'm really good, really good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and carving out some time to chat with me and making some space in your busy schedule.
Oh, it's all good. I'm rarely in this conservatory, so I get to enjoy a room that I'm rarely in. It's not like I often kind of chill in here. So you're doing me a favour.
So, James, for our listeners that might not have heard about you, give us a bit of a backstory, a bit of background on who you are, what you've done, where you're up to in the industry.
Yeah, so I gained my photography degree coming up to 10 years, which is a scary notion. 10 years. And during that time frame, particularly in the second year, I started doing paid jobs. I remember getting my first full paid job, 80 quid for the day, and I made it. That was it. We're going to Tahiti. I'm living the dream. I'm now a photographer. And then fast forward, I've got sort of two separate businesses now. So I've got the wedding photography business, which is predominantly in the Northwest, but I've kind of been picking up a lot of destination weddings. Obviously, before COVID, it was kind of going into overdrive.
Yeah.
So shot weddings in the US and all over Europe and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing. And then a separate commercial business, which is just as busy now. It used to be predominantly weddings and a little bit of commercial. Mm-hmm. And it's really shifted to almost a 50-50 now of commercial work with wedding work. And that's for a range of sort of smaller local businesses to large PLCs to stuff all over the UK, which is mental. And
did you start off shooting weddings and the commercial side kind of developed as the years went on? How did those kind of two things grow together?
Well, the degree, it kind of pushed people to more fine art. And every time we had a guest lecturer, I'd be putting my hand up going, well, how do you make money now? How do you make money? So it very much, the commercial kind of came first, really, which is surprising. And then I picked up a couple of weddings just per chance. And then I did a course. I did a course with Johnny Draper, who's a good mate of mine. Yeah, absolutely. The man changed my life genuinely. And I'm telling him that on a regular basis. Because his course just made everything click. So it was the stuff I would have done.
Was it his Don't Be Scared in the Dark course by any chance?
Yeah. And it was his very, very first course that he ever did. Yeah. And it was 2 days. And I was just like I'd never been very studious. I wasn't very good at school, shall we say. But to find myself sat at the front taking notes, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And all that kind of stuff. And that kind of then fell into the degree as well. So it's like the degree did the commercial stuff. And then various other courses. I went on Alan Law's course, which was a great course to go on, and Ross Harvey, which was just amazing again. And it's still on my ethos now of kind of never stop learning, which is really cheesy, but it is so true. And those courses were invaluable for me to just speed up the process. Like I say, it was always stuff that I would have figured out eventually.
Yeah.
But it just made
fast
it. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, fast track is a great way of putting it. And from there, just built up really strong relationships, particularly with the local venues and with other wedding suppliers. And that saw a big influx of inquiries from recommendations from those people. And then it beautifully snowballed really quite quickly. I think like my second or third year, it was like 40 weddings started kicking in and all that kind of stuff really, really quickly. And it's been an amazing adventure from there and onwards. Yeah.
I love that. Fantastic. So, I mean, moving on to the nitty gritty bits now, the bits that people have read in the title and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to that bad boy.
Yeah.
So having a personal brand is, it's massive, isn't it? It's something that I think a lot of photographers, me included, especially in the early years, I don't even give it a second thought. You bang a logo on there and that's your business. But it's very different for you, isn't it? You can see you running through your business, both commercially and wedding photography. So, I mean, what are your top tips? What are your secrets?
Well, as with any, I offer training and mentorship, and what I always say at the beginning of everything is that this is the way I do it, and there's loads of different ways of doing it. But I let people in a lot, probably a bit too much for the majority of photographers, but I don't mind it. But you put yourself up for scrutiny, and I'm sure we'll chat about that at some point during this. But what I've found is letting people in helps them build the connections with me before they've even booked. And it sounds really arrogant, and I don't mean it to sound, but I've had people that have like approached me going, oh my God, I've always watched you and I've waited for us to be able to do the things I've seen you do with other couples, like have the meetings and do all the kind of cool stuff. So for me, opening that door is kind of almost cemented customers before they've even been customers, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And on a regular basis, I mean, stories are a great opportunity on Instagram to just be able to chuck the camera into your own face. It is nerve-wracking. And I'm nervous doing it now, even though it's been a big part of what I do for a number of years. But Instagram story is just a great opportunity, as we all know, to just throw a little bit of what you're doing out there. And it might be personal stuff and it might be work stuff. I do a mix, and it's realistically 50-50. I used to avoid putting my personal opinions on there at the very beginning, but now I put them all out there. yeah, people kind of,
love me or hate me.
and that's the thing, because it then in turn, as we all know, it then in turn gets you the clients that are right for you.
Yeah,
because at the very beginning, I was kind of, even down to what I was wearing and stuff like that wasn't really me. And I was kind of thinking what I should be rather than what I am.
Yeah.
And it worked at the time, but it was exhausting. Whereas now it's me, and like I shot a wedding yesterday, and the couple are calling me Jebs, and it's cool, and it's, you know what I mean? And it's very like bless her, the bride, one of her arrived, she's like, congratulations on your engagement and stuff like that. So it's like they're in it, and they know, and they're talking about my kids and stuff like that. And it just helps that they're in the gang, and then they're recommending you to their mates and all that kind of stuff. And that's predominantly, I'm not, the posting that I have on Instagram, particularly over the last year or so, has been pretty irregular, but it's just as a consequence of how busy I am. And you'll tend to see on my social media, when I'm posting more, it means I'm not as busy.
You're on holiday.
And all that kind of stuff. And it's like I'm just running around doing shoots everywhere, and it's like I've not got a chance. So it's when I start posting more, it's like then I'm driving the business again. But for me, stories are they're so easy, and they're so great to be able to get across your personal branding. And like you say, it's more than just a logo. You know, it's as stupid as it's your appearance, like we say, of what you wear and your speech and all that kind of stuff. And it's finding it, should I say, makes a massive difference on you personally. It really, really does.
I guess as well, when you do have these times, which we all do in business, right? You know, it's peak wedding season here in the UK right now. It's mental for everybody. And I guess if you've done that kind of legwork with the personal branding bits and pieces, and you are just chucking the odd story on here or there of, like a little clip in drinks reception, or a selfie of you at the end of a wedding and you're just absolutely knackered, or, a Costa coffee and you drive home, that kind of thing, it kind of fills the gaps automatically, I guess, when you're not all over your grid, you're not all over your marketing. They still see that you're there and active.
And that's it. And for me, and like I say, different stuff works for different people. I'm not saying this is like the golden ticket, but because of social media, you look across the board of even going to large influencers. I mean, you take The Rock, for example, he's constantly doing behind the scenes of what he's eating and all that kind of stuff. So taking that precedence and putting, it's when I think consumers are now getting used to and wanting to see what goes on behind a business and what it is. So I think letting them in that door is an obvious thing, and then they're with you. And The client retention's high. You know, my record at the minute is 8 couples at one wedding, which was like an absolute dream. And it was 8 different couples, past, present, and future, all in one photo. And that for me is like, I'm doing it right. And because they're all the right client for me as well.
Yeah.
Because you're in that kind of same circle of people. And I just think letting people see what you're up to, editing at 3 a.m. or whatever it may be that we're all kind of doing at this time frame. It's like, it shows that you're dedicated and that we love what we do, you know. And in particular, I was talking about this to another photographer recently after what we went through, all of us, during lockdown and all that kind of stuff. If you don't value what we do now, then you never will do, because we've had a touch of not having it and then having it back. And it's like, oh my God, it is the best thing ever.
The hell of a clout, wasn't it? I think, you know, especially over here in the UK, because our entire summer season, spring season just got obliterated in one full week, didn't it? It was like weddings were on and then that night, no, they're all gone. And
that's it. And the support elements were pretty much non-existent. For if you fell in a particular bracket of how your business was structured, you fell through the net of anything to be supportive. And then we were told we should be training for a proper job, and all that kind of stuff was what the general message, which, you know, at the time we're all worried about. But so
was it what about weddings?
That
we were all sharing around. And I mean, it's as, you know, as much of a nightmare situation as it was to be in for so many people, the industry really came together at the same time, didn't they? There was so much camaraderie and, you know, people just having each other's back, even if it was a message of how you're holding up.
Yeah, 100%. And it just means that now we're back as we are now, and long may that rain, touching wood. We just value it even more, and I don't think there's anybody who doesn't. Like I say, if you're not valuing it now, then it ain't for you, because it just makes it even sweeter. So if you are enjoying it, document it, let people see that, and it will just cement further and further down the line. I'm a big one for client retention, which I know is a very corporate phrase, but I'm very much about the long term of that, both within commercial stuff and wedding stuff. I think it's really, really key not to just shoot and then leg it and that kind of stuff. Really stick with them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've touched on social media a little bit more, but let's delve a bit further. So we've kind of spoken about Instagram stories and behind the scenes and that kind of thing. I guess there's always going to be positives and negatives to any marketing platform, to anything really. So what would you say are the best bits of social media, and then the pitfalls that maybe listeners need to listen out for and look out for?
Yeah, I mean, we started off with Facebook. This, talking about my 10-year run, started off with Facebook and threw everything into Facebook, and it worked beautifully. And then we shifted to Instagram and threw everything into Instagram, and it worked beautifully and is working beautifully. We're now going TikTok and going, we're going to have to do it again. Really? I'm knackered. Do we have to? Really? And it's like, yeah, you're going to have to, or else you're just going to get left behind. So it's now Reels and TikTok, and it's, you know, and to be able to have these platforms where we can show our work off to millions of people is just a rare and beautiful thing for business owners that used to rely on. Do you remember the Thompson's book? We used to have a big yellow book with like
yellow pages.
Not even adverts. They were just, it was like, here's a number, and everyone was called A1, so they'd be at the top of the list, and AA11, and it was like, that was how people advertised, like, and it was a fortune to go in this massive book that got posted through people's doors. But to be able to now have this, in essence, free platform. I know you can spend money on adverts, and personally, I think that's a decent thing to be doing, especially at 10 quid, getting the coverage that you can get on that. You know, these platforms are incredible and need to be respected. And you know, unfortunately, I know we're not talking about the downside, but I kind of find myself doing it quite quickly. Is the fact there's a lot of people on there, so hence why, you know, we've got to stand out, and that comes back to the personal branding stuff particularly, because if you start doing that, instead of if all photographers just showed the work, it would be really difficult for clients. But they can kind of figure out what's the right person. And again, going through the experience myself now, I've engaged. I want somebody who's going to be shooting it that I'm going to get on with and all that kind of stuff, and that's going to have the right vibe for me. So social media allows us to do that, so we can be really particular on what we put out there. We're in real control. It's not just a flat advert. We can really, really show off both, our work and us as consumers. So it's just to have a platform that does, or to have multiple platforms to do what they do, it's an absolute dream, and we need to use them and respect them properly 100%, because they're a golden ticket. They really, really are.
Yeah. How have you found kind of the whole wedding planning process? I know your fiance, your wife to be, is also a photographer, right?
She is. We got a degree at the same spot. So
how have you both found it? Is it weird being on the other side? Have you noticed anything that would change your businesses, or anything that you think, oh, that's not the way I expected it to be?
Do you know what I've found, and I think it's relevant to what we're talking about now as well, is that the photographers, keeping it to the photography element, the photographers that we've inquired with, their Instagram is amazing. And then there's been a couple of full galleries that haven't done it justice either way around. Mm-hmm. So that continuity of work needs to marry up a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously we put our power shots out there. We're that's what we do. But having websites that really show off a full gallery, because it's the pitfalls that we're all mega busy at the minute, and I'm subject to it. My new wedding website, my old wedding website, which is still out there somewhere, hasn't been touched for many years, because I've got this new fancy dancy website that's going to be going live probably next month.
Amazing.
Which I'm really excited about. But in us searching for photographers, we've sent inquiries where they've not read it and they've just done a copy and paste reply, and you're like, oh, dude, really? And real, elements like that have been like, oh God, we need to make sure that if we are putting something personal within the inquiry, that it gets picked up, because again, personal branding, all that kind of stuff. If there's something personal in there, let's stick with that as a no. But I think we've not mentioned to people that we're in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
Like the first proviso we had was a venue that neither of us have shot at before. So we picked a venue. It's only 3 years old. It's just a baby, but we're excited because we've not done the behind the scenes stuff there.
I was exactly the same. I got married December 2019. Yes. And I was like, we got to the point of like, let's go around some venues. And I went to like all my top venues around here, venues that I absolutely love shooting at. We literally walked through the doors and I was like, no, this is work. This isn't my wedding day. This is what I do for work. And we ended up in Scotland because I just couldn't go to somewhere that I'd shot at already, because it felt like I was there for somebody else's wedding, not for mine. And, I'm so glad we did that same proviso as you. It has to be somewhere that Sally's not been, because obviously my husband doesn't work in the industry at all. And he was like, but that one we went to was beautiful. It's just down the road, and I just couldn't. There was just something in me.
That's it.
I just can't do it.
That's it. And where we booked, Beth was like, and you're not allowed to take any weddings on at that venue before we get married. And I'm like, babe, it's a lot of cash. And she's like, absolutely not. No, you can do as many as you want after. That's cool. But let's keep this fresh. And I was like, okay, yeah, you are right.
I was exactly the same. And 3 months before, the inquiry came in about 8 months before. It's quite last minute. And the date would have been 3 months before my own wedding for the venue that I'd chosen in Scotland.
Oh, wow.
And I had to turn it down. I was like, I can't do it to myself.
Every credit. Yeah. It's going to be hard. It's going to be like, really? Can I not? No, it will be.
It is. I'm a stickler for saying no anyway in business. I find the word no really difficult.
Nice. Yeah.
But I'm so looking back, I'm so glad I didn't shoot anything there before the day.
Yeah, every credit. I mean, it's one of the many reasons why I want to marry Beth, is the fact that she corrects me on certain things, like you say, where, I'd just be plowing in and going, but we've got to do it. Yeah. Where she's helped. It happened a lot during lockdown, but she's particularly helped me in reassessing. And it's a big thing of sort of finding your why, but it's kind of assessing what is, what's valuable to you, if that makes sense. And I've always been, got to be the best photographer and got to get the most amount of winners. And I want the Ferrari in the castle. Let's go. Yeah. And then that got reassessed completely on my own accord during lockdown, and kind of went, actually, I'm really enjoying spending time with my kids and adventures and all that kind of stuff. And like you say, learning to say no is really difficult, but I've done it on a couple of instances. And so far, I've not regretted the times where I've said no. Yeah.
It's a funny analogy, but it's like going to the gym, isn't it? You always, dread going up to it, or you have those days where you think, I really don't want to go, but you never regret a workout when you come back out at the gym.
100%.
Run
100%.
or, whatever it is, thing you don't want to do, once you've put yourself through it, you never go, oh, I wish I'd never done that. And it's the same thing with saying no in your business. Like, you're never going to regret having time with your kids. You're never going to regret a family day out, or, kicking back and going to the spa for the day. That no means that you get time to yourself.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. It's such a good analogy because it is so true. And it's that why can change over periods of time. So like I say, when I started 10 years ago, and it was like, and I'd had jobs that I hated. And like I say, at school, I'd speak at colleges and unis now, specifically for students where they don't have a plan, because it feels like everyone around you's got a plan at leaving school. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but it's all mapped out. And I was just going, are we going out on Friday night? What are we doing? That was me. But, and I did jobs that, I was the guy that you spoke to when you booked your car in for a service. I was, selling cars. I was, all these different things that it was just to get money for the weekend pretty much. But then little did I know that I was learning skills in that time frame. I worked for BMW and they sent me on brand awareness courses, which I then implement the stuff I learned on that course. I just thought it was a day off work, and I'm like, sweet, don't have to be in work and just like mess about and stuff. But actually stuff went in there and got filed away for them when I'm setting the business up, because I was a mature student going back to uni. And knew what I wanted to do. It helped me. So it's like the why at that point was money for the weekend, sound, and it helped me in the long run. And then when I set up the business, it was very much, earn as much as I can, because I've not earned money like this before. It's always been jobs, and I've kind of always been on the breadline a little bit. So this is a nice feeling. So I just need to keep doing that. But I never relaxed to enjoy it. It was working till literally pretty much 3-4 a.m. every night, 4 days a week, and thinking that I was living the dream because I'm smashing it and this is me and I'm killing it.
It's addictive, and then isn't it? Like, you can get into that headspace where you just kind of get lost in it, and you're on this hamster wheel of shooting weddings, editing weddings, shooting weddings, editing weddings. And you kind of forget that the whole reason that you set up this business in the first place was to enjoy life and have that balance, and to kind of, not be working the typical 9 to 5, 6 days a week, or, 5 days a week plus an odd Saturday here and there. It's, I think a lot of the time, and I've done that, in my business in the last few years prior to COVID, I absolutely, as much as I missed everything during COVID, I was also so grateful for the rest.
Yeah. I think it was a massive, and people that I've spoken to, it was a massive turning point, and it kind of, dare I say, it did us quite a lot of us a bit of a favor, because we got used to like having 8 hours sleep and like going, oh my God, this is like, I didn't realize I was a walking zombie. Yeah. And this is how it feels to be hydrated. Oh my God. Like instead of like a wedding where we'll get a drink at about 4:30 or whatever for the first time that day, and be like, and not realize that actually, okay, this is how I can feel and should feel. So it means it just, I don't know, it's realigning the why, and it is such a big thing. But being aware of it, I think, is key. So understanding, and it's okay to go, I want the Ferrari in the castle. That's cool. Like your why is your why, and but finding it is key. Like for me now, and again, Alan did mention this on his course, and it really resonated with me, talking about his currency is units of time. And again, not kind of regurgitating his stuff, but it's very much like he knows that he wants to do X amount of weddings that he gets paid X amount for, and that gives him an income of Y. But more importantly to that, it means he gets like 9 months off or whatever it may be in total to spend with his time with his kids, because his kids are very close to that point of being like, drop me off around the corner, Dad. I don't want to, don't hold my hand in the street. And so my two, I've got she's 8 and my lad's 7. And and holding hands and kind of being best mates and stuff. It's going to end pretty soon when I'm embarrassing dad. So I need to get all the juice out of that bad boy 100%. Right now. So
my husband's eldest two are 13 and 12. And for the last couple of years, they've been like, so whenever obviously they live with the mum, so whenever they come over to see us, before it had been like running hugs and like, stop. And now it's like, all right, as you eat it.
This is it, man. Like Isla's one of the eldest for her age. She's born 3rd of September, so she should be a year ahead of where she actually is, and she's already in like second year juniors now. So she's like edging towards high school. And it's like, and I know I'm going to lose her to a degree of what I've got now. So it's about, being able to balance, that currency of time and allowing yourself to go. It's not just for us pound coins, but it is, you're allowed to say that time is currency as well. And that really rang true for a lot of people, I think, during COVID. So limiting the amount of weddings, which was a big thing. Like you say, I couldn't say no. There's another one. I've got another one. And that Richard Branson mindset of saying yes and figure it out later and all that kind of stuff.
Especially
and that was me.
Back weddings, right? Like I'll say yes to go and I'll just work out where I'm going to sleep at some point.
This is it. I mean, I look back, like it was a few years ago now, but I did a destination wedding. I won't say the location in case it's unlikely that the couple was, but it was a destination wedding out of the country. It was about a 3-hour flight away. And I shot their wedding, and I was doing a wedding in the UK the next day, which is, looking back, is ridiculous thing to do, and don't ever consider doing it. But I'm like shooting the night getting a cab at like 1 a.m. to take me to the airport, to get like a 3 a.m. flight to get me back to the airport. Like I'll sleep on the plane, and like fortunately, through luck rather than judgment, I smashed it, and the couples were dead happy. But looking back, I'm like, what if current me could have a word with past me to just go, what are you doing? That is not cool, man.
Especially with flights and things as they are at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even half consider it now. But this was in the day where we could, like, I got it down to sort of just over an hour before the flight and all that kind of stuff to be able to get through. But yeah, looking back, it was okay to be a chapter, but and very much, again, going back to social media, a lot of the social media, it could potentially just be my algorithm, but a lot of mine was very much, it's the grind. And there was one guy I was following, sleep is for suckers and all this kind of stuff. And that was where I was at. And I'm like, yeah, man, like 2 hours of sleep, that's it. We're entrepreneurs, we should be smashing the day and all that. But looking back, I was so tired. I was exhausted. Yeah. And there was no longevity with that and no enjoyment with life. So now I feel I have a beautiful balance. And it allows me to love what I do again, which it was close to getting to like a factory line, and I don't ever want that again.
I can totally resonate with that. I think you do get to the point where you just feel like you're regurgitating the same things at weddings. Weddings are beautiful, and all the couples that we all have are amazing, and they've chosen you for a reason, but you don't want to get to that point where you're just churning out the same stuff for each couple and it's just like Groundhog Day.
It's not healthy for us, because by our nature as creatives, then without generalizing all creatives, but it's safe to say we don't like a lot of routine. We may like some routine to a degree, but a lot of it, we wouldn't be doing what we do, and our brains wouldn't be sort of wired to do what they do if we liked routine. I hate routine. I get bored really easily. I can't sit on the beach for long periods of time. It's like a holiday to the Maldives is hell for me. It sounds absolutely bad. But I'd be like, and Beth would know, because it'd be like 20 minutes in, I'd be like, can we go for a walk? Can we do stuff? Like, I'm like a child. She's like, can you just sit still for an hour? Just for me, though. Like, please.
I'm exactly in the same space as Beth, 100%. My husband is exactly the same. And we've just been to Cape Verde a couple of weeks ago.
Amazing.
And it was beautiful. The first time you've been. I'm due a baby in a couple of weeks, or will potentially even have had the baby by the time this airs.
Amazing. That's exciting.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, let's get a quick holiday in, like, whilst we still can. Great call, by the way. First day, we were sat on the like swim up pool bit, little private patio bit, and I'm like loving life, soaking up the sun, and he's like, Should we go for a walk on the beach? I was like, I've been sat here 5 minutes.
Literally giving you 5 minutes. I adore that.
You go walk on the beach.
Yeah, that's it. I think we did. We went to we were in Dubai last year at a very last minute thing, and I was like a kid in a sweet shop. I was like, right, parachute jump tomorrow, and then we're gonna go. Let's go dune buggies in the desert the day after. I was like, what the hell? I was like, I've got a list. Come on, let's go crazy. But yeah, it's like a proper kid going nuts with a sugar rush in a sweet shop.
Well, equally, your business allows you to do those things as well, right? Like if you weren't smashing business and business wasn't flying, then you wouldn't be in Dubai doing all those amazing things, and you wouldn't have all those experiences.
No, that's it. That's it. And I think having that balance then allows you to enjoy it, like you say, because gone for me are like material things now. And I literally had this conversation with Beth just the other week of like, that's what I want to, like, we got engaged in Lake Como, and it was the most amazing experience. We were there 2 nights, dead quick, but it was just amazing. And memories that I'll amazing engagement to one side, but just the experience alone is like, that's what I want to do. If I could be, if I could have a car that's just a banger that is reliable, but then I can do those things. That to me is more is better than pulling up in something that is flash and all that kind of stuff. I think working hard to then be able to create those memories is just what it's about, and then it recharges you again to go again. And that's a beautiful factory line to be on.
That's a whole new addiction, isn't it? That's like a little bit to then go and have these amazing experiences and actually enjoy life. And then come 100%. Back to working a little bit again, and then go. Yeah,
and then you're ready to work again, and it's just perpetuating this beautiful cycle that is just going to help you. And then making it relevant to what we're talking about, and then documenting that all over your social, and people going, "Oh my god, this is
look at the
great.
life you're living."
Oh my god, this is amazing! Yeah, I did a thing while we were in Dubai of like taking the mickey out of influencers and stuff like that, and my DMs were going berserk with people. And I turned up to a wedding about a month later. She was like, "I saw your stuff in Dubai," and I was like, "Yes, we're going to get along." And do you know what I mean? And it wasn't through anything, but just messing about and being a bit of an idiot.
It gives you something to click with couples over as well, doesn't it? When they've seen a little bit of you and a little bit of your life, they can feel like they know you already, and they know, exactly what you're going to be like on their wedding day. And
there's me sunburnt in a swimming pool, tossing the swimming pool water back in my head, taking the mickey out of myself. And they're like, "Sound, he doesn't take himself too seriously. We're going to have a laugh." And that for me is my couple. They want it right, but they want to be able to relax. And like yesterday, I turned up, they were like, "Are you having a fireball?" Whatever the hell a fireball is. I declined the fireball, but they were like, "We're having it straight away." And I'm like,
"That isn't it? Not a fireball."
A fireball. They had little bottles of it in the bridesmaid boxes, like a bottle of fireball. Wow. I was like, it sounds absolutely horrific, but I will join you for a drink once I've shot your first dance. That's kind of my cut-off point. And then we'll start doing some shots and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. But they get me. They get me. Which is
for sure.
Really nice.
So how do you think our listeners can kind of take everything we've just rambled on about and put that into play for themselves? Like, how do they take a step forward to that balance, to finding their why? Like, how can they change something today?
I think being honest with yourself is just key. And like I say, it goes back to what I said before, that when I first started out, I wasn't honest with myself. And that can be difficult. But literally sitting down with a pad and pen, go old school on it, no screens around, and sort of list down where you want to be. And it's that cheesy thing. And again, and a lot of sort of, motivational people talk about goal setting, but I found it personally to be absolutely key and literally written down. And the exercise of where do you want to be in 5 years' time, and then breaking that down to sort of, well, where do you need to be at the 2.5 year point, and what have I got to do in a year to get to near that, and then 6 months, and then what have I got to do this month to then start that off.
Breaking it down.
And the hardest thing is that first implementation. And I'm sure there is a stat out there of like how the outcome of what you're doing based on how quick you do it. So if you start action literally and go, I'm going to do something today that will influence how my 5 year goal is going to hit. And if you do it today, then you're considerably more likely to hit the 5 year goal as if you go, I'm just going to put that. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that in the morning. And it'll go a little bit less. And then you go, right, I'll do it weekend. that's when I'm going to do that. It's going to drop again. I'll do it by the end of the month. It's not going to happen. So it's that taking action. Procrastination is like my worst enemy. That and self-confidence. And if you said to a lot of people on my social media, self-confidence, what really? Then they'd say that it's wrong. But turning that camera around and chatting is difficult for a lot of people.
Sure.
But those that haven't done it, I'd really love them to do it today, and just do one, and just and see how you get on.
Yeah.
And even if it's throwing an opinion out there, getting some interaction for your followers because of the algorithm and all that kind of stuff, where they like the interaction, and doing a poll or doing a question or whatever it may be. The easiest one is to do a quick Q&A. What do you want to know about me? And ask your mates to go, can you just back me up on this? I'm going to put something out there, and you'll get people ribbing, taking the mickey and all that kind of stuff. And that's cool. That's what we do. But it'll just put you in that mindset of going, there are people listening and watching and all that kind of stuff, which is daunting, but it could be really, really, really beneficial and is definitely the way to push forward. So yeah, taking action today. If you're not doing stories that are showing you, I would dare you to do one today and see how you get on with it.
There you go. There's your challenge from James Jebson.
That's the challenge.
Your DMs are going to be full of people like,
I hope so. Yeah, DM me, man. Do it. I'm all about it. Do you know something I did today, just dead quick as well? And I've only done it last night, and it's been amazing. I charged my phone in my office, and I've got an alarm clock. I've gone old school. I've got an alarm clock next to my. And do you know what? Waking up, and we all go, I only have my phone there for the alarm, which is rubbish. We all know that's rubbish. We pick our phones up straight away, and it's the last thing we look at. It's the first thing. But do you know what? I feel so beautifully zen this morning because I've not picked up my phone and absorbed and gone straight into work while I'm led in bed. It's been charged in the office, and I've had I feel very different this morning to how I normally do, and it's just something that is. Yeah, I'm going to try it a little bit more and start going on about it. But I think it's very much a way to roll. I think definitely so, because we are, that's the other tip for me. Like notifications, Beth has them on, I turn them off, man. I don't want to be a slave to my phone, like emails and all that kind of stuff. I want to check my email when I'm ready, and I can give a concise and proper reply rather than a quick reply. Then I'm not, giving the client enough time and all that kind of stuff. And notifications on social media, I want to check it when I'm ready to. So that's something else I personally do and look at doing today is, I think the only notifications I get are text messages and WhatsApps. The rest I check when I'm ready, and not being a slave to that, and meaning that you're dedicated to your task. You're not, I'm doing that, and then that's come through, and I've got an email, and if you check your emails 3 times a day, you are still replying within a solid time frame from your client. First thing in the morning, check it, reply, turn the app off, all that kind of stuff. If you're doing it on your laptop, or if doing it on your phone, no notifications. Check again at lunchtime. Check again at the end of the day. You're still within a very, very reasonable time frame of being connected. And the expectations of your reply is still good. So knocking those notifications off, don't be a slave to it. It has been a big turning point for me as well. And then you'll go next level and charge it elsewhere. And I don't know where it ends, me throwing it in a lake or something. I don't know.
Having a phone.
I'm done. I'm getting a log cabin in the woods. This is me now. I don't know.
Love that. If you could start your career all over again, go back to those BMW days, is there anything change, anything you do differently?
Just taking the plunge quicker. Just having that self-confidence. Like I say, we will always find reasons not to pursue it. And if you find yourself, like I did, in a situation where your inner circle, whether that be family, friends, or both, aren't fully supportive of that, then I'm not saying like block them and ignore them for the rest of your life, but just step a little bit further away from them than you would do, just until you get in a position. Because I've had really good mates of mine, very close, one of my best friends, and he was like, we were having one of those red wine conversations at 2 a.m. He was like, I just want to say sorry. I'm like, you say sorry for? I would just never thought you'd do it. I was like, oh, it's another harebrained Jebson scheme of doing what you're going to be this week and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I did, bitch about you a little bit, saying, oh, what's he playing? Photographer? What's he, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Look at me now.
Like, yeah. And it was that kind of, and that was only a few years in. He's like, and and you're doing it, man. And I'm really proud of you. So those people, like Arnie says in his famous speech, the naysayers, I 100% step away from them. If it was down to my mum, I'd be working in a cubicle with is it The Incredibles, like in insurance? Then I'd be successful. My mum's still like, you still taking pictures? I'm like, yeah, mum, I'm still doing that. But that's her upbringing, man. If you work in an office, you work. Yeah.
I remember shooting my first wedding, and I actually came back from that wedding and was like, never, ever again. Like, what the hell was I thinking? And I remember distinctly thinking, like, that was the worst day of my life. What the hell was I doing? I was exhausted, and my brain had just been a million miles an hour for 10 hours, and then it still didn't switch off when I got home. But I remember speaking to my mum afterwards, and she was like, well, I did tell you.
Oh, cheers, mum. Thanks for that.
And then now, nearly 10 years on, she's like, oh yeah, my daughter's a photographer, and
yeah, that's it. Well, yeah.
Now it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I remember distinctively. Yeah, like I said, probably still now. My mum's like one of three brothers. Middle brother is kind of like, he's sensible Dave. He's got the sensible job, the sensible car, and sensible, and I love him with all my heart. But very different life to mine.
Yeah.
And it's always, well, if, Dave's had a promotion, and I say, oh, that's wicked news. Yeah. You still taking pictures? Yeah, I am. And I remember she went to, my brother lived in New York for a short period of time, and my mum went out to see him, and he rung me up and he was like, what have you done to mum? Because she's just going around taking pictures of pigeons and stuff. And she's like, saying, well, he got it from somewhere. It must be, he got it from somewhere. So it went full circle with my mum.
Oh, too. Bless her. Trying to get all the details of New
York. Yeah, and all, getting out. Look at this picture of this piece of litter on 12th Street.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, God love her. God love her. But again, it's like I say, your circle, and my inner circle has diminished rapidly, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Because the people around me now, I trust implicitly, and it's nothing but positivity. And it's easy to get dragged down, and I'm one of these people who doesn't really watch the news, rightly or wrongly. But I'm just, what we absorb will impact our behavior, and I don't think that's right. We should impact our own behavior based on our own opinions and our own wants, needs, and goals. And just going for it earlier. It contradicts what I said about I've picked up skills along the way, but God, I just wish I could have done it younger. I'm knocking on the door of 40 now, and there's grey hair sprouting in the beard and all sorts. So I'm like, oh man. Well, this is it. Might just ferment it.
Do it. Why not? I'm sure you would love it. Beth could record you putting it all on.
Oh yeah, see the development. It's one last stand on the hairline. I'm dragging it from my shoulders at the minute. It's like, keep going, come on.
Bless you. Well, I have absolutely loved the last 45 minutes. It's been such a blast catching up and chatting with you. If our listeners would like to get in touch, if they want to DM you and be like, I went on my stories today.
Yes.
Then what can they do? How can they get in touch?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of accounts. The main account is Jebson Creates, Jebson, Jeb for Bravo, SON Creates. That's the main Instagram one that's live. I don't really do Facebook anymore. But yeah, Instagram is the one. Started dabbling with TikTok. But yeah, Instagram.
What's your TikTok handle so they can all go and have a look?
The same, yeah, Jebson Creates. There's a mixed match of different things, because me being a bit of a marketing geek, I'm kind of testing out what, all the bits with the trending audios and all that kind of stuff. I'm just having a little play, and you see the difference in certain ones. But yes, Jebson Creates, give me a shout on there. And look at you growing a human, just super chill back. Tell you what,
2.5 weeks to go.
Making it look easy. You're making it look easy, girl.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm ready now. I'm done.
Well, you look amazing. So every credit to you. Yeah, growing a human as we speak. Every credit. And yeah, I can't wait to see when it all happens.
I know.
Moment.
Yeah. So it'll be all over socials, I'm sure.
Yes, can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Well, I will let you guys get off. Thank you so much again for coming and catching up. It's been so lovely.
Absolute pleasure. Loved every second.
I know the listeners will have just literally been like pen to paper through the whole.
I hope so. Anything I can help with anybody, genuinely, I'm here. The DMs are always available to absolutely anybody. Don't hesitate.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll catch you soon.
See you soon.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, guys, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much again to James for coming and joining us and chatting about all sorts on today's show. If you'd like to see the show notes, you can head to www.studioninja.co/episode 70. As always, please don't forget to rate us on the podcast platform that you're listening on. A little bit of love goes a very long way. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NinjaCast, brought to you by Studio Ninja. Beautifully designed and super easy to use, Studio Ninja will help you manage your leads, clients, shoots, invoices, contracts, workflows, and so much more. To learn more or start your 30-day free trial, go to www.studioninja.co.